So hello students. So results came finally, long awaited thing, and we thought to have some small discussion about what is to be done, what is important when it comes to ethics. Okay, so let me introduce to you my friend and colleague Babu Sir. As you might already know, he is all India rank 337 and in 2016, and he has been also having experience in working with Government of India, but now he has been full-time teacher. He is teaching ethics and polity and whatnot. So sir, welcome. Let's have some chat with you about ethics and all. See, first I would like to ask a very simple and straightforward and very broad question, that is, how would you describe the relevance and the significance of ethics paper in the journey of selection for any student?
So you might very well know, the very idea of ethics has been brought in only in 2013. So before that, this paper was not there. And there has been lot of recommendations by various committees. And if you look into those recommendations, they have very clearly stated it is not only about the intellectual capabilities of an individual that makes him a really good civil servant. Because as a civil servant on a day-to-day basis, a lot of things is going to test your honesty, integrity, and a lot of your moral and ethical aspects will come into play. And that is the reason that UPSC also wanted to test the suitability of a candidate for civil service by also testing their ethical and moral standards. And that is the reason specifically this paper has been brought into the civil service examination, which of course you also know, because you have also been associated with this exam for a long time. You personally has secured civil service rank in 2012, and you also been associated with a lot of social organizations and uh, public sector undertaking. You work there also. So let me put across this question to you. Uh, for the students to score well in the examination, what exactly is required? Whether they should have a theoretical approach when they take up the ethics paper, or it should be a practical approach.
See, when it comes to ethics, even after 11 years, it has still been able to hold back its enigma, as obviously you also know. Reason being, perhaps one thing, it's little more subjective than the other GS 1, 2, 3. Our training or the students' training when it comes to tackling the exam is very stereotypical. Read some book, remember, rewrite. When it comes to ethics, it is slightly different. The taste is different. I'm not saying it is difficult, but it is different. And that difference is actually brought in because of the practicality that is should be coupled with theoretical. I'm not saying obviously theoretical cannot be removed altogether, but it has to be coupled with practical. Like for example, and I'm sure you also have this experience that we have gained in our work experience in the government and otherwise. Things are not as theoretical as they are mentioned in the books. So that application, your ability to think as if things are happening in front of you, okay, case studies for that. So I think people need to understand theoretical training they already have. What they need now is the practical approach to it. That's why when it comes to this mini programs that we run, the emphasis will always be and has always been to bring in that new orientation only. New content is one aspect, but new orientation to look at ethics, very important. Sir.
Do you think is this also one of the reason that there is a lot of variation in terms of the marks that the students get? If you see the same year, one particular student might get a good score, but the same student might not get the good score in the next year, despite the fact that he has put in a lot of effort, as per the version of many of our own students. So what do you think is the real reason behind this variation in this ethics paper?
See, this variation has been, again, if I'm allowed to use the same word, is really enigmatic in the sense. But if you talk to each and individual in depth, students, maybe some colleagues, and I have done that, what I have derived from it, at least as a common minimum common reasoning, is when you get into too much preparation mode, in the sense read this also, that also, try to gulp things and then try to omit it on the paper, you feel that I have prepared a lot than my previous attempt, which was very natural, maybe very original, very innocent, I would say. That has gone, originality is gone, and then you suddenly realize why I am not getting marks in the next attempt. And this has happened with many students. So, reason being, don't just look at it like, now I have, more time, I have already given one mains, okay, or two mains, I'll prepare a lot. No, prepare a lot means different things. Have proper orientation, have proper practical, talk to someone who has practical experience, especially officers possibly, then have answer writing practice.
So
That's the thing.
you also mean to say that UPSC is really looking for an originality of every
Yes.
candidate in this examination?
Just to add to this point, sir, that's why I categorize ethics GS4 more closer to essay and interview, okay, than to the rest of the GS 1 to 3. In fact, I also go to the extent of saying that ethics is like interview on paper, okay, case study, situations, codes, theoretical things, even corruption issues, you have to give solution like that. And interview is like verbal ethics paper.
So more the originality, better the
Yes.
score. But provided you know the basics.
Yeah, and proper orientation. Don't look at it theoretically like that. See, but one thing which it's always and many students ask me, I have my own answer, but I would like to know your thoughts, about marks. Is it really possible to have something like 130 plus marks, and that too with some plan, execution and reaching there, or it is just always be like, it happens with by fluke or something of that sort?
I will just go back to what you have said, sir, just to answer this particular question. It is definitely very much possible, provided there is a meticulous plan, because already this subject has a lot of subjectivity in it. That you have rightly put, it is similar to that of and the interview stage, which is happening in an next round. But I would say to overcome the objectivity, you need a meticulous plan, and then that plan has to be backed by a lot of originality in your answers, and it should be backed by a lot of, I would say, preparation on the relevant areas, and backed with lot of current examples and all those things, and most importantly, the practical approach to a lot of questions that has been asked in the examination. And adding to top of that, the student should also equally prepare on both the areas, that is a theoretical part as well as the case studies. Because sometimes what happens is some students are good in the theoretical aspect, but they really lack their ability to solve the case studies. So if they take care of both the areas, then I see it is very much possible for them to score 130 plus. So I just bring it back to you. In the theoretical part, one of the most crucial things for the student is the quotes based, the philosophical based question. I think you would be the right person also, because your optional is also philosophy. So what is the approach that the student should really take when they attempt the quotes based question? Is it really important for them to know what the thinker has thought? Or is it just something that in the context, how do they interpret? Is it the interpretation of the students, or is it really what the philosopher has thought about that? What is relevant, sir?
See, with respect to quotes, there are many things, and many things can be said because it's a very different thing. And if you see the whole scheme of UPSC, quotes doesn't fit very properly there. If you compare with the philosophical essays, then it is similar. But let me come to the point. See, quote can be very well be tackled with proper modeling of the answer and practicing it, even if you might initially feel it very difficult, because I have seen some students inherently have some sense of ease with quotes somehow, for whatever reasons, their training and their interest areas and all, but some it's very difficult. But you need to understand one thing. Students need to understand one thing, that there is a proper model on which if you work, which we will practice and we have been doing it, it helps you a lot to decode at least whichever code. That's not important. And by the way, the person who has written the code is not at all important, because if you might have seen the formatting of the question, they will never ask the questions wording would never be.
In fact, sorry
Sir.
to interrupt. In fact, based on my experience, in fact, if I remember, UPSC specifically put it, what does it mean to you,
Yes.
rather than asking what the philosopher has said.
So exactly, that's what I was coming to, in the sense, question is never that what Mahatma Gandhi is trying to communicate through this quote. This is never the question. This is not a literature paper. They are asking, what do you mean by that?
So they wanted to bring your originality in that.
Absolutely originality. In fact, if your answer looks very simple and very, not so very jargonized, it is good. In fact, you are not mentioning Gandhiji's name, no problem, because they are not asking.
Where your idea is very clear.
Yes, like for example, be the change you want to see in the world. This has all, I think 2013-14, it has already come. It's not about, even if they write, instead of Mahatma Gandhi, they write Dr. Babu Sir Ambedkar. What difference it is make? Quote is the same. You have to talk about values, responsibility, initiatives, leading by example, or setting an example, following the ethical path. Self is less important than, or others more important than self. Service of others. These points should come into the answer.
So just to add
Sir.
up this, how far do you think that the examples are important in such questions?
Very, very important, because see, quotes, especially and otherwise also, but what you are saying is many times very obvious. Okay, good things, people should do good things. Okay, everybody know it. It's always better to write, what do you mean by good things? Have you seen anybody doing good things? Have you done some good things? You helped some friend, you have seen some, you read some books, there is some incident, something happened in the newspaper, Padma Award is, for example, is the very good example. Then people who, get the awards for saving others, life saving these things, and many other, like those who contribute socially, those who lay their life in defending the nation, many things. So keep your eyes and this thing open. No need to go for the book, for that matter. Newspaper, even I can tell you, even some YouTube shorts will help you if it is in the right
provided a student knows how to integrate that.
How to integrate that. Like for example, if somebody has seen, somebody is a fan of Rohit Sharma, now recently fortunately we got the ICC World Cup, or whoever team member, and you know the little story of that person behind, the struggle, how the person reached, like this person from Hyderabad, Mohammad Siraj, it's a very tough fight to reach to the Indian team. If you know that example somehow, from somewhere, you can add it.
So,
dedication.
But it has to be very relevant.
Very relevant to what is being asked. Yes.
So you should not write it out of context.
Okay, I'll just briefly say, in the first appearance, it looks like quote is very difficult, or it is not. In fact, it is very easy to tackle. Only thing is, if you have a proper model, you should not get shocked. Okay, what to do? So, but more important than quotes, not more important, but more weightage than quotes is case studies, sir, as you know. And I and the students would like to know from you, because of your experience and your experience in teaching of public administration also, in a way. So, would like to know case studies. Okay, that is again another huge area. Please talk something about it.
Sir, if you see the case studies, you can very well see the way the case studies has been designed. I would say, to put it in a very simple way, case study is a series of ethical dilemmas presented in front of a student, so as to assess the ability of the student in solving that particular issue which is presented in front of him. The biggest problem is the student should be in a position to decode that particular case study. A student may understand the crux of the issue, but he may not understand all the dimensions. And even if they understand all the dimensions, they may lack an element of practicality in solving the particular case study. So I would say it is very important that the students understand the case study and they also understand the practicality, because some of their solutions may be very idealistic, which is of no use. And sometimes as a civil servant, you know that something is legally wrong, but you feel like morally and ethically you may have to do it. So how to tackle all those things? So all those things also requires a bit of understanding of the various laws, the constitutional and the legal dimensions. Probably if you look into the case studies, there has been repeated case studies from environmental issues, disaster management, sexual harassment. So why not the students look into these basic laws and what is the dimensions and based on which they can approach these case studies. which exactly I feel that we'll provide all these informations in the course. We'll give them a lot of practical knowledge, and this is what the law says, and your decisions has to be backed by these courses.
That's why, just to add, and it's very important that in our course also, otherwise the courses that we have been running, but when it comes to case study, our more focus is on practicing, setting, deliberating and writing the case studies, and especially those case studies that UPSC has asked under the previous year questions, and it has really helped students. Just to add to your point, that's the point, this thing. One more thing I would like to add with respect to case studies. See, it's like a real life simulation for you, and you are expected to imagine the real situation. It's not a theoretical question where you talk about general issues. It's something that you are sitting in the chair, somebody, like people have come to you, they are complaining something about, or some employee, female employee is complaining about something, and you are actually experiencing that thing. You know the reality. So you have to see it as a simulation and then react or respond. So very important. And that is, as I said, that is the important thing. And by the way, just to, if you allow me, I'm just thinking that let's because we can keep on talking about codes and case study and ethics, and there are so many issues I know that we cannot touch upon, but we thought just have a small discussion because the result has just come. But one thing that we have been talking about course, which course? The course that we have been running, and automatically it comes after the result. Within a week we will be starting the same thing that we have been talking. So there will be a course, some crash course especially for the students who are joining this, writing this mains, but those who are not been unfortunately able to kind of pass this exam also, they can also join if they think to utilize this 15 days. It's just a 15 days course, only a 15 lectures course, cramped so that you have enough time for otherwise, and your answer writing and everything will be taken care, and sirs and hopefully minds experience, if you can utilize for your betterment. We hope to see you in the class, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All the very best.
Yes, all the very best, and see you. Hope to see you soon.